Okay, I'm back. So here's what we did. These ears used to be on the door because it's a Gen 1, right? So we cut it off, and instead of using the grinder, I cut it with a hacksaw because the hacksaw was long enough that we were able to cut the whole thing to a flat line. So I'm just going to grind that down. We're going to fill this up. The black line here, that marks where the edge of the old window crack was, so I know not to go past that. So we're going to fill that in, make it all pretty and smooth. I'm going to put some cardboard behind it, build it up from the back. I'm going to grind this down, build it up from the front, sandwich it together. Lobster! Ah! We're going to sandwich it all together and make it so it's not going to crack. Make sure all the corners are rounded. Because like I've said before, fiberglass, if you have a sharp edge, it will crack and come back to bite you. Here's this one. Did this one too. Same thing. And on the back side, where we had fiberglass, it didn't wrap. It was too stiff, so it didn't wrap fully around the corner. So I ground that back a bit. I'm going to put another couple of layers here just to reinforce the edge and round it. And same in here, reinforce the edge and round it. Make everything nice and smooth. This has been ground flat-ish. There's a little low spot here. That's something I know I have to fill with fiberglass. And then once the fiberglass is on and fairly smooth, then I hit it with the fiberglass, the short strand fiberglass filler. Then I'll Bondo it, well, rage it, whatever you want to call it. Make it all smooth and pretty. Also, I gotta drill 2 drain holes. The other thing Chuck had mentioned, he didn't like the way he had cut this when this was done. So whether I fiberglass up to this, or what I want to do is actually take this out, build a little box, and actually fiberglass in a little box so that this is completely nice and sealed and looks pretty, but it's his car, not mine, so we're going to do it the way he wants. Alright, so that's the door, and those should be finished, well, the glassing should be finished today. I got to pull some of the Dynamat away from the backside there. The other thing we did, sorry for the motion, you're going to get motion sick with me because I move around a lot. I have a bit of ADHD, oh, squirrel! Wow, no, I have a bit of ADHD, I think. So anyway, this here, you saw these grindings before. These are now ground out. I had reinforced the back. I took them all the way down. When I was doing that, I also saw some spider cracks here. So I took this down as well while I'm in the area. Again, it's going to get a couple layers of glass to build it up. And then the short strand. And then it's going to be all bondoed and smooth and pretty. Well, we hope pretty. So that is the goal. And that's where we're at. Hopefully the videos of me actually doing the work worked. If they didn't, you won't see them. But if they did, then you'll see a little bit of the grinding, which is, just super exciting watching a guy in a mask make dust. Anyway, back to you in a few more minutes. I got some glass. I'm actually going to show you something here, because this is actually pretty important. When you're grinding back the glass, by the way, this is a 36 grit grinder, okay? Die grinder. Make sure you give yourself at least an inch back, maybe even more if you can, with no gel coat on it. This is important because the glass won't necessarily stick to a gel coat, so you got to grind it back. You want a nice feathered edge. Now this gel coat is off on the outside, but because there's a see, you can see the inner there. When I push it back, it moves. So I have taken the gel coat off. is a result of the Dynamat. That's why it's not transparent. See, if I pull the Dynamat back, you can see I brought this transparent a couple of inches back. I don't know if you can hear me over the compressor, but anyway, you want a clean surface, a clean glass surface for your new fiberglass to bond to, because when I sheet this over, and if I put it onto the gel coat, it's going to lift. There's just no question about it. So you gotta be aware of that. Now, same on here. It's coming around a corner, but you want to take it back, and you also want this to be kind of a pointy edge. And then you build it from the inside and the outside, and you taper over on one side, you taper over on the other side, and you build it in almost like a tongue and groove. This here being the tongue, and you build the groove around it so it's all bonded together. And that's what we're going to do with everything. That's what we did with this one too. If you look, whoops, that'll hurt. If you look, we ground this back, right? Because this, the hole was only here at the edge. So we ground this back, and we actually wrapped it here, and we wrapped it here. See, this was there before, and there's just a couple of layers of fiberglass holding this piece on. And that's what we do around the whole thing. Even here, the ear that we had cut, was, sorry about the videography, I'm holding my own camera today. We ground all the gel coat off, but this fiberglass was there. This is the new stuff here. And there's my air pocket. I had to fill that. I left an air pocket because I don't have a roller. I had to do it with a brush. And that's what happens. If you get an air pocket like that, you can't just glass over and leave it. That's a weak spot. So you have to grind it out. You have to fill it. Make it all flush with this, and then you can go over the whole thing again. Very important. Don't leave air pockets. Anyway, enough of my boring voice and bad videography. Anyways, we will talk to you later.
So
bye.
Here we go. They're all ground back. I'm just making it the back side a nice, got to have a nice sanded edge. Sorry, I'm wearing my mask here.
There, that's better. No mask. Just got to make sure, be careful, this edge is sharp. Don't cut yourself on it. Make sure this is 40 grit. I'm just making sure that I have a nice scuffed backside. Oh, that sounded dirty. Just to have a nice, so that you can get, see now this here, that was already there. That's not me. But that's just, you can see the filler where they join the two. I'm going to fill that anyways. But yeah, we've got it nice and smooth on both sides, so that, and with a tooth, a 40 grit tooth, so that the glass has something to grab. So that's taken back. We're going to, and I tapered it. You can see that's sharp. I tapered it. So we're going to sandwich it out. And that's how that's going to work. This side here I haven't done yet. So you get comparison. That's what it looked like after the cut. And I ground it just a little bit flat. But there's no lip there. That's all I've done there so far. This one is what it's going to look like before I glass. Are we happy? Happy, happy, joy, joy. And hey, did you guys hear about this poor lady? Her husband died, and unfortunately, all of his clothes were given to the Goodwill by her kids, helping her out. And she was so upset because he was always a sharp dresser, and he always had this tailor-made black suit. Well, they gave it away, and she took him to the undertaker in a gray suit. And she was very upset about this. She was begging the undertaker. She says, please, please, I'll pay you anything. Just make sure he's in a tailor-made black suit. So, the funeral comes. He looks like James Bond. Absolutely gorgeous in this tailor-made black suit. So she goes up afterwards and says to the undertaker, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just, how much do I owe you? He says, oh, don't worry about it. No, I at least have to pay for the suit, if not the time to dress him. No, you don't understand. What happened was right after you left, this other lady came in, said, well, my husband's here, and he was in this beautiful black suit, and we got talking. I mentioned your situation. She says, my husband lived in sweatpants. He won't care what he's buried in. It doesn't matter. So I just switched the heads. On that note, we're going to show you something here. You take a look. Air bubbles are sometimes unavoidable. This is when I ground back Factory 5's fiberglass work, and they've got a couple of air bubbles in the door, and they got a crack there that was gel coated over, so I'm going to tear that back. I'm just saying, like, if you get a few air pockets when you glass, don't sweat it. You can fix them. Little guys like this, yeah, they're almost unavoidable. We'll talk to you later. Chuck just told me the Gene's up to 65 videos. I have no intention of getting there. This here, we made out of a cereal box. It's just going to tuck right back in here and tape in place, and that's going to be our backing. We're going to do the fiberglass over it. And the reason I drew on it is because I'm going to put a layer of fiberglass on this first, about an inch and a half past those lines. Then when I slide it in, it's pressed against the back side, and I don't have to do the fiberglassing twice. It'll be on the back, it'll be pressed in, then I'll go over the top of it. I made these, like I say, out of a cereal box, and I covered them with clear packing tape, because fiberglass doesn't stick to clear packing tape. So we just pull it off. It works like a mold. Did the same thing here on this side. Oh, there. You get the idea. A little awkward to get there, but yeah. The one thing I've also noticed, both doors are unique. The shape of the template is different for each one. I don't know why, it just is. Back again. What we now have is several pieces of fiberglass that I've pre-cut out of a sheet fiberglass mat. That's going to go over top of, for example, one slightly bigger than the other. I've cut it to fit. It'll go in there. It'll sit over top of this. That'll all get kind of taped in and work as the back side. Sandwich this way while it's still wet. Go over the top. While I'm at it, got a couple of other things I'm going to take care of, fill in. You can see the low spots I've cut the glass for to fill in. That's all going to get tapped into place. Same there. So that is the plan. So I'm about to mix up some fiberglass resin. Like I said, cut the mat in advance. That way it's just easier to work with. You're not trying to grab it when your gloves are all sticky. Make sure you wear a respirator because this stuff stinks. And we'll see how it results. Okay, so we've got glass on the outside and the inside. It looks a little hairy, I know. Fiberglass always does, but I'm not worried about that because that sands down real easy. But look, I've got this here is going to have to come off because that won't bend around no matter how much I cut it. So I might have to do a little touch up on the edges. But that's kind of to be expected. That I'm not worried about. This edge here came out beautifully. Wrapped around. Got it nice and past here. I know it's hairy. Again, that's not a problem because it'll all sand out later. But we got coverage over everything. Everything's covered. And now, that was 2 ounces of fiberglass resin to do all of that. Now I'm going to do these. But I just wanted to kind of show, I made the cardboard template, put a layer of fiberglass on the cardboard template, put the template in place, actually glassed the backs, or resin the backside so it would be nice and sticky. Put them together so everything was all saturated. Then I glassed the outside. I put Chuck to work. He's curing fiberglass with his wife's blow dryer. What'd you say?
Used to be my blow dryer, but now I don't need it.
Used to be your blow dryer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There, that's a better idea. Your blow dryer, huh?
Before I do it through my hair.
We got these done too. Just touched them up nicely around the edges. I could probably do that edge in there a little bit yet. And then we got this built up with fiberglass for strength. And we'll defuzz it and make it all pretty. There we go. This one's all done up. I can't see it because of the sun behind me and the shadow, but nice and smooth, all glassed in, no air bubbles. Move my head out and my shadow out of the way as best I can. There we go. How's that? No air bubbles, looks good. Other one. Similar idea. That looks pretty thin there. There's a little one there. That'll get taken care of. But nice and smooth. All that happened here was the cardboard pushed back away from it. So this followed the cardboard and this didn't tuck around. That's an easy little fix. Look, it's nice and strong. Push hard on it. It's not going to go anywhere. There's no cracks there. I can either bring this down to that or I can fill it in. I'll probably fill it in. Yeah. Now all we need to do is leave with a bit of humor. Yeah. What's the difference between a wife and a girlfriend? 40 pounds. For those of you whose wives watch, what's the difference between a boyfriend and a husband? 40 minutes. I'm here till Thursday. Try the fish.